My name is Jacqueline. I'll be guiding you through this quick practice today. This is going to be about a 15-minute practice, really focusing on the hip and the hip girdle. We're going to get into the hip flexors, inner thighs, the inguinal muscles that attach into the groins, the hamstrings, and even filling this into erector abdominis. We spend a lot of time seated, sleeping in a fetal position, driving, sitting at our office chairs. So this is just a quick little sequence to help open up those hips, move some energy, and get out of the funk. Let's get started. We're going to come onto all fours to begin with. Knees under the hips, fingers spread wide, toes tucked under to begin with. And we're going to start by circling those hips, getting out of those linear patterns that we're always into. So we're going to start by lifting our bellies, coming over to one side and rounding this out. Feel free to bend into those elbows and move the body. If this is the first time you're doing this kind of movement pattern, it might feel awkward, but just do what you can. Feel into it as the hips start to open, the spine into that hip girdle. You might feel some cracking, some popping. So just breathing into those spaces and places as we break up the rest and the crunch. Switch direction, go the opposite way. Moving the spine, lifting the belly button, letting the belly button fall. Again, into those elbows and the shoulders. Really feeling into this. Okay, let's come into neutral. We're going to untap the toes. You're going to tent into those left hands, picking up the left knee, and we're going to circle it up. Let's start with pointing the toes. Nice big round circle. So we're squeezing the glutes to lift that leg like you're lifting it up and over something. And we're rounding. And again, you might hear that cracking and popping here. And just breathing. And if this doesn't feel like a circle to begin with, that's okay. Just making whatever shape that knee is moving in. And you can switch directions, opposite way, lifting that belly button up and in, really protecting the spine. Keep the point in the toes, nice and slow and controlled. And then releasing that foot down, let's take it over to the other side. Again, tenting through those fingers, picking up the leg, nice big circles. So you can do this series at any time. You can stack it up with another short video. You can stack it up with a meditation. You can add it on to a longer video if you feel like you need some extra hip love. Switch direction. You can also do it as a standalone. Maybe middle of the day, lunch break, right before bed, anytime you're feeling tight and just needing some love through those hips. Okay, releasing that, let's come into a cat-cow. Take those knees just a little bit wider. Find the wrists, again, under the shoulders, fingers spread wide. From here, we're going to drop the belly down. Lift the tailbone, lift the chest, look all the way up. Big stretch for those erector abdominis, right up, maybe even to the scaling muscles, the muscles of the throat. Feeling, breathing, lots of compression through the back. Then you're going to tuck your toes under, flip this, tailbone down, rounding the back, taking the chin to the chest, really puffing up between the shoulder blades. Right at the back of the heart. Look between the legs, holding here. Flip it. Inhale, looking up. Exhale, rounding the spine. One more time. Exhale. Come back into a neutral spine. Take your knees to the edges of your yoga mat. Bring your toes to touch. Bring your bum onto your heel. Walk those hands out, forehead down.
The forehead doesn't touch the mat. You can bring a block under it or a book. Reach out, let those hips settle down. Breathe into the groin area. Inhales and exhales. Walk your hands back under the shoulders. Press yourself up. Pull those knees together. We're going to come high up now. Let's bring the right foot forward, left knee back. If you need some cushioning, you can fold over your yoga mat or tuck a blanket or even a pillow underneath that. We're going to start by coming into a low lunge. This knee is going to track first and second toe. Let those hips settle, hands come down. Just resting, the back foot is resting flat on the ground, toenails down top of the foot. And then from here, tuck the back toes under. Slide your bum back. Pull your toes up. Lengthen through the hamstrings. Think about how long the spine can come and just fold. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, sink those hips. Try to keep the heel down, getting into the Achilles. This is such a great movement for the hip flexor and the back of the hamstring. Let's come on back. Let's find a little flow now, moving with breath. One more time. And sitting back. Inhale, come up. Bring that right hand to the inside of the right foot and just heel toe that right foot towards the right hand edge of your mat. We're gonna turn our toes out now. Coming forward a little bit, so you might wanna send that knee back further behind you. Just rest into this, see what that feels like with that knee opening up, breathing. You might be staying up on your hands, or you might be coming down onto your forearms. Just meeting your body where it's at today, where the hips are at. You can drop that head down, resting chin down, breathing, feeling this through the glute, through that whole hip socket, the acetabulum. If you're down on the forearms, come back onto the hands. Left hand's gonna come under your shoulder. Right hand is gonna come onto your thigh, not your knee, but the thigh. You're gonna start to push that leg away. As you do that, lift the spine up. So we're kind of coming into a twist here. And you're gonna look over that shoulder straight back behind you. You can untuck the toes, getting a little bit more depth. Breathing deeply. Staying here or taking it a little bit further, taking that right hand behind you, reaching around, grabbing the back of the foot and pulling that foot in towards the bum. Nice big breaths in and out. If you find that you're clenching your jaw, you're holding, maybe you're biting the inside of your cheeks, you might have come too far, release that back foot. Meet your body exactly where it's at. Release that foot, bringing the hand back in. We're gonna heel toe that foot in. You're gonna frame the foot, tuck your back toes under, and we're gonna step up and back, downward facing dog. Spread out those fingers, take the feet for a pedal. Moving one heel up and down, opposite, pedaling out the opposite knee, finding breath, pushing those hips up and back. Ears are between the arm bones, looking between the legs, taking some nice deep breaths as you feel the length of the posterior chain elongating. Inhale, come forward, drop your knees down. We're gonna take the opposite foot forward. So left foot's gonna come forward. We're gonna track that knee, first and second toe right between, and the hips are coming down. Getting into that hip flexor now, chest to high, big deep breaths in and out. Using the breath to warm the body, to fuel the body. Okay, let's slowly start to settle it back, pulling those toes up, getting length. It doesn't matter how far that body comes down to the leg. Think about increasing the length of the spine. Inhale forward, lowering those hips. Moving with breath, inhale up, exhale, sit it back. Inhale, pull forward, exhale, melt. One more time, inhale, exhale, inhale, come up, exhale, come down. Bring it back to neutral, center position. Take that left hand to the inside of the foot, walk it over to the edge of your mat, then turn the toes out. Bring a little bit more weight forward. Feel what this side feels like. It may feel completely different than the other side. So just mind to muscle, really connecting, feeling, making a choice to stay up or come down. And then just start that process of letting go, of melting, of surrendering, of feeling all of that sensation, tension, junk that's jammed up in the hip socket, dissipate. Now these short videos just kind of give us a little teaser into sensation. So maybe you need to do the video twice, or maybe you just take note, I'm tight in this area, something I need to be mindful of, maybe something I need to stretch daily. Coming back up onto your hands, placing that right hand under the shoulder, left hand comes to the inner thigh. Pushing now away, lengthening the spine, coming up, looking over that shoulder. I'm untucking my back toes. Big, deep breaths. Staying here, or taking that left hand behind you, reaching around, grabbing the top of the foot, starting to pull that foot in, getting a nice stretch right at the front of the hip flexor. Here on the right side, also down through the quadricep muscle. And this is one of those areas on me that I'm going to definitely need to revisit later. Feeling really tight today. Slowly releasing, bringing that hand to the inside of the foot, turning the toes forward, heel toe back. Frame that foot, get ready by tucking the back toes under, and push yourself up, back, downward facing dog. Let's take the right heel in the air, reach it up nice and long, point and flex that toe, bend into the knee, look under the armpit, stack the knee over top of the hip, coming into a beautiful opening. From here, we're going to swivel the hip so it's square with the mat. We're going to take that knee now in towards the wrist, setting up for pigeon. Back leg comes straight up behind you, looking over that back shoulder, just making sure that foot is nice and long and that we're not sickling into the ankle. We're going to puff the shoulders up and back, making a nice pigeon feathered chest at the front as the hips settle down. You're going to check in. Do you want to keep this heel nice into the groin, or does it feel good for you to make it more parallel with the top of your mat? Making sure there's flexion through those toes to protect the knee joint. You might find an angle in between. You also might want to put something underneath this bum cheek, a blanket, a block, a pillow. One more big breath, and then on the exhale here, start to fold yourself down, coming all the way down. Stack fists, hands, or forehead to the mat. And we're really intentional here with our breath, sending the breath down to the hips, getting really curious about what the hips are holding. Is this physical tension for you? Have you been really active lately and maybe the muscles are feeling tender and tight? Or maybe you're on the opposite end of the spectrum. You're feeling like you haven't been doing much. You've been sitting more, hanging out at the computer. And you also feel the sensation of tension. Breathing into that. Or is this feeling really emotional for you? Are you carrying a lot of burden right now? Breathing into that. See with every exhale if you can let go a little bit further, sinking into the ground. Let's slowly start to lift the chest up. Roll over onto the bum cheek. Take that back leg all the way up and over. Now this bottom leg can stay bent or you can extend it straight out. Take this left bum cheek down to the ground. You're going to wrap your hand around the shin bone or coming up and over the knee. Left hand's going to circle behind you. Pull the navel in. Get some rise through the sit bones, pushing them down so the crown of the head lengthens towards your ceiling. Deep breath in. Exhale, use your muscles, come all the way around. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, wring it out, twist it out. Any tension, any sensation, any buildup. Using that breath, inhaling, and then exhale, come a little bit further. Now maybe using the arm against the leg. And release. Let's circle back to the front. You're gonna pick up this foot, and you're gonna hold the foot in your hand. You can take the opposite one and just come over the knee, and I just want you to start to rock that leg back and forth. I don't know if you heard that, but a big crack there. And you can even extend the leg and pull it back. You can come more across the body. Do what feels right for you. Do a little bit more rocking, and then across. Okay, we're gonna take this further. We're gonna come into our fire log pose. So we're gonna take this bottom leg, we're gonna flex the toes, and then we're gonna take this top leg and place it on top. Also flexion through the toes. You're gonna square yourself off and drop that knee down. Take the hands beside you, sitting up nice and tall. Now this position doesn't serve everyone, and if it's too much for you, you're going to come into a modified pigeon. That's going to be placing that right foot on the ground, left foot is going to cross over top of the knee, and you're going to sit up nice and tall and walk those hands closer towards your body as you set the spine long and drop the shoulders down. Okay, so this is the second option. So you're taking one of those two options. And if you're in fire log pose and want to come a little bit deeper, you're going to start to walk those hands forward, folding over the leg, really feeling this in the back body, through the sacrum, through the glutes, into that hip. Nice deep inhales and exhales. If you're in seated pigeon, you can stay stationary or you can rock those legs side to side. And then we're going to come out of this nice and slow.
No matter what position you're in, you're just uncrossing down, bringing those ankles to cross, hands come in front, and we're gonna step back into our downward facing dog. Let's take 3 grounding breaths, looking between those legs, softening the jaw. The energy of the heels are moving towards the ground, but that by no means the heels need to touch the ground. We're gonna lift up the thigh muscles. Let's root down through that right heel. We're gonna inhale, left leg in the air, big straight line, and we're gonna point and flex, point and flex. And then you're gonna bend the knees, start to open up that hip, looking underneath the armpit. Square off the hips. Circle the knee forward, and then you're gonna bring left knee, left wrist. Setting up for our pigeon now, extending that back leg behind you. Again, just circle, do a little check, make sure that leg is straight back, and then you're gonna square off the hips, pulling that right hip around, left hip back. Sit up tall, puff out the pigeon feathers, let the hips get heavy. Again, noticing difference left to right. We are far from symmetrical, so really kind of tuning into the energy of each side of your body. Make a choice if you need some props underneath that glute, or maybe just gently moving that leg to a position that works for you. Inhale. Exhale, begin that fold, resting down. I've taken up cross-country skiing and I'm absolutely loving it. But my body has shifted. I'm a lot more tight through my hip flexors. So I need to be mindful just to stay on the stretching. Like any activity, just being really aware to counter anything that you're doing that may cause tightness, including inactivity. Let's use that breath. Exhales, really giving over to Mother Earth, just allowing yourself to soften your body, softening through the hips, gently asking them to open for you. Inhale, let's walk ourselves back up. We're gonna roll over onto that hip, back leg swings around, up and over. Remember the option to straighten out that bottom leg. This time, right bum cheek comes to anchor down. We're gonna hug in or coming up and over. Right hand comes behind us, belly button pulls in, protecting the spine. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, begin the rotation. Use your breath to initiate this twist, and then when you've come as far as you can, wringing out any last little bits of tension, then use the elbow against the knee. It's like squeezing out that last drop of toothpaste, and then finding you can get a little bit more out of the tube. Circle it all the way back. You're gonna pick up this foot, you're gonna hold on to the foot, hold on to the knee, and just start that rocking. And just let yourself move, let your body move, maybe play with stretching it out, pulling it in, moving the angles, moving the direction, finding new ways of moving through that ball and socket joint. Our body is made for movement. Motion is lotion. And if we don't use it, we lose it. We really want to be mindful of how we're moving our body and how we're engaging in that range of motion. Awesome.
And then when you're ready, choosing the variation you want, fire log or coming into that modified pigeon. So if you're taking fire log, you're just going to bring that leg out in front, flexion through both toes, and just letting that knee soften down. Squaring yourself off, hands come beside you, breathing, reminding the hips to stay soft. If you've taken our modified pigeon, our left foot's on the ground and our right knee is crossing over top. Let's sit up nice and tall. Check in if you need to go further. So if so, you can start to fold through those hips. If you're in modified pigeon, you might start a rocking side to side, or you might walk those hands in a little bit closer, bringing the chest closer to the legs, dropping those shoulders down. No matter what posture you've chosen, remind the face to soften, unclench the jaw, relax through the pelvic floor, the bum cheeks. And just let the shape of the pose, let your breath, let your intention melt away any of the holding patterns we carry, mind, body, or spirit. Beautiful. Walking yourself all the way back up. Let's just release that, coming into Baddha Konasana. Soles of the feet together. We're gonna walk our groins closer to our heels, and we're gonna just butterfly here. So just a little bit of movement up and down, making sure to remember the shoulders are staying down here. And then from here, coming more stationary, starting to fold forward, maybe using those elbows on the thighs. Think about length, staying long through the spine. And then if you want to round for the last few breaths, you can do that. Inhale, come all the way up. Close those legs together. Take them to the edges of the mat. Hands come behind you. Windshield wiper. Internal, external rotation. You can continue to do this, or you can take it a little bit further by dropping those hips over to the right. Taking that right hand under the shoulder, tucking the tailbone, squeezing into the bum cheek, feeling the length of the hip flexor. Lifting that arm up and back. And then flipping over other side. Same thing, tucking the tailbone, lifting, squeezing, beautiful back bend. And then all the way back down. Let's just bring our hands to heart center, bowing the head to the heart. Just thanking ourselves for showing up, for clearing out the hips, clearing out the body, the mind, and the soul. Have a beautiful day.